Hey Body Geeks, I was inspired to make this video from a couple of clients who are having trouble with shoulder mobility. And I really like this little series of exercises to help identify what parts of your thoracic spine and scapula, shoulder girdle area don't like to move and where they get stuck. And what I love so much about this little series of assessment exercises, if you will, is that they relate directly to a lot of what we do in classical mat Pilates. So the way that we stay on the mat for things like corkscrew, the way that we hold our arms with respect to our bodies in things like the saw or the spine stretch. So this 20 to 30 minute class is going to be all about that series of assessments that I've put together, and then the basic mat so that you can feel those positions and ideas working through the classical mat. Okay, so you're going to come down onto your back, and you won't need any props for this, except if you are a little bit more advanced in your arm series, you might want to do this on the baby barrel, or you may want to do a couple of pillows propped up underneath your thoracic spine. But I really like this series just as a standalone so that you can feel the connection of your upper back to the mat. So you're going to roll all the way down onto your back, and with your knees bent, raise your arms up toward the ceiling. Turn your palms to face each other and just stay there for a moment so that you can feel the parts of your upper back, specifically between your shoulder blades and about 1 to 2 inches up and down from that space. How much is really connected to the floor? Take a couple of deep breaths. And as I'm deep breathing here, I'm trying to let the weight of my arm bone fall into the socket. Not squeeze my scapula together on the floor, just be friends with gravity and let that come down. Couple more deep breaths, noticing if you're holding your head, neck, or jaw in a certain position, and letting the bottom of your jaw, your mandible, kind of fall down toward your throat. Then, keeping that connection of your back to the mat, start to circle your arms around slowly, about the size of a soccer ball, and you're going to feel some movement in your scapula. But what I'd like you to focus on is allowing your scapula to stand like a second pair of feet on the floor. First pair, second pair, and then reverse the circle. Same idea. And the pace that I'd like you to choose is a pace that allows you to tune into and get a sense of the details that we're talking about. So you could go super slow, you could try going a little faster. And depending on where your headspace is, the pace will really be important for helping you discover these things. Then with your palms facing your feet, start to take the arms slowly overhead. And go only as far as there aren't any clicks or pops or you feel much change of what part of your thoracic spine is connected to the mat. So I'm thinking super heavy in my spine, not purposefully trying to imprint my low back, just letting the weight of my body stay connected to the mat. There might be a point in that pathway where you feel a little bit of a glitch. And again, only going as far as you don't feel any popping or clicking or a change in the thoracic spine. My shoulders are pretty mobile, sometimes a little bit, hypermobile on this right side. So I might be able to just back off in my range of motion a little bit, since that's what we're looking for right now. We're just looking for a connection of the upper back to the mat. And then if you'd like to move on, bring one arm down by your side and keep the other arm up and simultaneously switch. Again, the base of the skull is really heavy. The mandible is falling back and down toward your throat. Think of that super cute person on the airplane that lets their head fall back and their mouth fall open when they fall asleep. That's a healthy jaw right there. And then bring your arms up and place the thumbs and the index fingers together. Give them a little bit of a push. Let the scapula fall heavy again. Stand on your scapula feet. And then start to raise your arms overhead. And when you get to about the shaving position, you're going to bend both elbows out to the sides and bring your thumbs to your forehead. So kind of like a salute. So rather than on top or behind, in this position, you're just going to stop right here. And the point of stopping here is so that you can feel the arm bones still in the sockets. If the elbows go too far back, the shoulder will tend to pop up for some of us. So wide reaching elbows, like someone's pulling one elbow this way, someone's pulling the other way, and you're just going to shave. And you'll notice that as your arms go overhead, your scapula will do this action. And as you bend your elbows, they'll slightly do this action. Now, you're not trying to hold your scapula in any one place. You're just trying to notice the relationship of the timing between your arm bone and your scapula. And again, that ratio is 2 to 1, 2 degrees of motion for your humerus, for every 1 degree of your scapula. So in general, we should feel our arm bones moving more than we feel our scapula. So just widening out your back, standing on your scapula feet, gentle squeeze of the arms toward each other, and the upper back and thoracic spine just kind of staying right there on the floor. Then you're going to turn this into a hug a tree. So make your arms look like the number 0, not an O, but a 0. Then keep the same amount of bend in your elbow and open up to the tree. Hold there for a moment. My upper arm is just hovering above the floor here. And what I'd like you to feel is that the scapula can also be on the floor. I'm going to show you what happens to my right shoulder. You might also feel this too, is that I can't feel my right scapula on the floor as much because my collarbone tends to roll forward, which lifts my scapula up and then prevents me from putting my wrist on the ground sometimes. So I'm going to think wide across my chest here, lift my elbow up, and that's going to help me put a little bit more of my scapula on the floor. So here you are moving in your 0. And if you'd like to stick with that to focus on what's laying on the mat, please do. Otherwise, move on into the full hug where you take one arm all the way across, our other arm underneath, and you're going to attempt to touch your fingertips to the floor. That's not the goal. That's just the direction. So notice I'm not bending my elbows and coming down here. I'm keeping the shape so I can keep the width of my back on the floor. Yeah. So far, everything that we've done is just movements that challenge your ability to move your arm bones with respect to your scapula more, to allow your scapula to fall heavy away from your body and stand on the floor, and simultaneously keep your thoracic spine, part of your mid-thoracic spine, lower thoracic spine, heavy on the ground. So a movement exploration meant to change the neuromuscular patterning of your movement and allow you for greater range of motion, release where you don't need to be working, and activation where you need a little bit of activation. All right, now you're going to press your palms together, and you're going to bend your elbows out to the side and turn your fingertips toward your head. From here, you're going to squeeze gently your palms in and gradually get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And as you press, rather than letting your scapula come apart to use your chest more, you're going to think heavier in your scapula, wider in your arm bones as you get stronger in your press. Then you're going to release and try that same thing again. Gradually press, get stronger and stronger and stronger, but as you press more, think of the scapula falling heavy away from your rib cage and the elbows reaching wide. One more time. So the ability of the chest muscles to squeeze without pulling the scapula forward, which would be the serratus muscles And then you're going to switch to grabbing one set of fingers on top and one set of fingers on the bottom. And you're going to pull wide. Now the challenge here is as you pull wide, instead of doing that from arching your thoracic spine and pinching your scapula together, see if you can do that from what I think maybe Dana Santee calls the wide shoulder position. She's the first person hi Dana, she's the first person I heard talk about that wide shoulder position of not allowing this, but also not doing the opposite, but rather reaching the shoulder girdles wide out of the body. And there's a mental balancing game to that. Front of the body, back of the body, wide shoulder position. So here you are, you're pulling, and I'm thinking arm bone out to the side, arm bone out to the side. Then switch which fingers are on top, give it another pull, and try the same thing. Of course, you could try this seated if you'd like, but I really like the idea of your back being on the mat so that you can feel that connection. Of course, you could do it against a wall, but then gravity is not helping you do that, which is why I'm laying down. Let's switch it one more time, palms facing each other, fingertips facing your chin. And then once again, gradually press into your palms, all while letting the upper thoracic spine be flat on the mat. A nice deep breath into that area of your back can help you find that connection. And then once again, grab one set of fingers on top, pull with your wide shoulder position. And a little stronger and a little stronger, and then switch hands. So start gradually so you can feel the heaviness of your scapula feet standing. Feel the heaviness first, then start to pull. Pull more, pull more, pull more. Still thinking thoracic spine on the mat. And then we'll go one more round. Palms together, fingertips face your chin, elbows out to the sides. Let the arm bones and scapula fall down first. Then as you gradually press, keep the scapula falling heavy. Now stay here for a moment and push a little bit more with the right hand and let the right hand win over the left. It's going to kind of push you to the left. And then the left hand is going to push more than the right hand, and that's going to push you off to the right. One more time, right hand wins. And then once again, the left hand wins. And then go back to grabbing one set of fingers on top. Let the scapula fall heavy. Start to pull gradually, stronger and stronger. And the addition we're going to add here is you're going to pull more with the right arm. The right arm's going to win and pull the left. Then start pulling more with the left, but resist with the right, and the left is going to win. And then once again, pull with the right, resist with the left. The right arm will eventually win. Keep the elbows lifted out to the sides, and then the left pulls more, the right resists, but the left eventually wins. All right, coming back to center, put your arms down by your sides and then slide them out to the T position so that you feel your whole palm, forearm, upper arm, and shoulder blade against the mat. Pause there for a moment and see if there's any part of your arms that you do not feel. If you're on a high mat like me, you might want to turn to the side so that you have the same level of floor for your whole upper back and arms to connect to. Then you're going to float one leg up to tabletop and then the other. And we're going to do just a simplified version of the tick-tock. So keeping your arms wide and your legs squeezing together, start to tip your pelvis over to one side, but only go as far as this opposite side thoracic spine and scapula can stay firmly standing on the floor. Notice if as you've gone to the right, you've started to pop up your right shoulder. So that one is still pressing as well. And then come back to center. Again, really slow so you can kind of flirt with the edges of where you can go. And then over to the left. Still going to press down with the left, but I'm going to purposefully keep this right one pulling open. That's my harder side for sure. And then let's do 2 more rounds. And if you're really working to keep your trunk and your facing the ceiling and your entire upper back connected, your head won't be able to move. So if you do feel a lot of head movement, bring your knees a little closer into your chest, or do this assessment with your feet on the floor. This can be just as valuable. Maybe even the legs together would be easier to feel that. Yeah, I like that. So a couple options there. And then see if you can remember which side was harder for you to go to. So if your right shoulder tried to come up when you were going left, take note. Likewise, if the same side shoulder was trying to lift as you go to that side, take note. And then you're going to come back to center with your knees bent on the floor and your palms together this time. And with both elbows straight, you're going to twist your thoracic spine one side and your head is going to follow your thumbs. Pause there for a moment so that you can really feel this whole side of your spine and your rib cage making contact with the floor. It's kind of easy to lift up some part of your body to get more twist to happen, but I'm just looking for a connection of that part of your back to the floor. Then come back to center and do the same thing on the left. Twisting to the left, nose follows your thumbs. And what's happening in the lower body is nothing. It's just going to stay put. I have a tendency to want to bend the leading elbow, so you're doing your best to keep your both elbows straight. We're going to do a couple more rounds so that you can take note of which side is more challenging to go to. I can feel my pelvis wanting to pull with me when I go to the left, and you're just taking note for yourself what comes to your attention. So I'm giving you lots of things to think about, but you don't have to have the answers to all of them. Just stick with what feels interesting to you. And then I want you to decide which side feels like it's harder to go to. For me, that's my right side. It's just harder to get. It feels like there's a hump I have to get over that I don't experience on the left side, so I'm going to call that my hard side. Also because my shoulder blade wants to come off the mat to accomplish that, so that's my hard side. So now whichever side is your hard side, you're going to take your lower and your upper body toward. So I have to push with my opposite leg a little bit to get my pelvis to twist. And I'm going to stop somewhere where I can feel this whole side of my body on the mat, my butt cheek, my waist, maybe a little bit, and my rib cage. Then I'm going to leave my upper body in place and just take your lower half back to center without letting it drag your upper body with you. Whew, that's hard. And then come back to center. We're going to do the same side, your hard side. Everything goes over to that side. Pause for a second so you can feel the connectedness of this side of your body to the mat. Then stay there with your upper half and return your lower half, letting the scapula fall heavy on that side and the arm bone into the socket. Let's do 2 more rounds on your hard side, and then we're going to go back and test the lower body twist. And if you've lost sight of what the purpose here is, the purpose is keeping your upper spine, your thoracic spine, and between your shoulder blades on the mat so that you can help your shoulders move a little bit more easily and without restriction. I often find that shoulder problems in mobility and pain and tissue shortness have a lot to do with the spine and the shoulder girdle and a lot less to do with the arm bone's connection to the scapula. All right, so we'll come back and do your easy side, but take your arms back out to the sides again and just assess if there's any difference in the feeling of laying flat against the mat. For some of you, there might be a wrist that doesn't like to come down. For some of you, there might be a shoulder or an elbow. Might be hard to supinate your arm. But you're just seeing if there's any difference in that flatness feeling from one set of fingertips to the other. Then let's test the lower half again. So you can either bring your legs up to tabletop for that tick-tock again. You can also make it a little bit more challenging by lifting your legs in the air or keeping your feet on the floor together. But remember, you're only going to advance the exercise to the point that you can stay focused on the flatness of your thoracic spine. So if you're feeling really good and you have felt an increase in the amount of connection of your back to the mat, feel free to either speed up the exercise to challenge yourself, or the way we do TikTok on the reformer, adding the opposite turn of the head side to side, or adding an advancement for the exercise like legs in the air. But the minute you lose sight of, oh, right, this is what I'm supposed to be focusing on, just come back down to another version of the exercise. So I think this one's better for me today. And I was noticing that my left wrist wasn't wanting to connect to the floor. So this is kind of nice to turn your head, because then you can kind of take a peek at what's going on in your arm. All right, then let's retest your hard side. Feet go down, palms come together, and you'll spin yourself to your hard side. Let's just do upper body. Yep, spin yourself to the hard side. Oh, that feels better for me. And then come back to center. This can be really great for scoliosis as well. And then back to center. I feel like I have a little more range of motion to this side instead of feeling like there's that big hump I have to get over. Now let's go to your easy side. So just the upper body goes to the easy side. And bring yourself back. And if now that doesn't feel like the more comfortable side, take note of that as well. Sometimes when we open up possibilities on one side, then comparing the other two can feel like you have a restriction. And you're welcome to keep playing with anything that we've been playing with. I'm going to do the double. So both arms go over to the side. The upper body stays put, just the lower body returns. And then the upper body returns. A couple more times. Whole body goes over to that side. I'm pushing with my trailing leg. The upper body stays put, the lower half comes back. And if you'd like to stick with that, you're welcome to, or you can go side to side. Just your upper body, still just your upper body, rolling on your thoracic spine, kind of ironing out the erector spinae back there. And then once again, let's retest the lower half. Both arms go out to the sides. You give a nice wide press. Stay there for a moment so you can feel any contact in any part of the arm, shoulder, or spine that you weren't feeling before. And then bring your legs to tabletop or keep them on the ground. Let's add a breath this time. Inhale, the legs go to one side. Exhale, you're going to pull yourself back. Inhale, the legs go to the other side. Really heavy head, jaw falling back toward the roof of the mouth. One more time to this side. And then once you come back to center, either keep your legs in tabletop or lower your feet to the floor and start pumping your arms for the 100. Go slower than you might go, because what I'd like you to feel is that even though the arm bones are reaching strong and long and pumping vigorously, the scapula can still fall away from your body. And if you'd like to pump a little faster, you can, just as long as you can feel the long arm and the shoulder girdle dropping open. Shoulder girdle dropping open. That feels pretty good to you. You can lift your upper body. That feels pretty good. You can pump a little faster. Yeah, so there's lots of strength and control in the arms, but I want you to feel a looseness in the actual shoulder joint so that the scapula can fall toward the floor and you don't have so much resistance of the arms. See how that looks when I pull my arms forward? It really kind of drags my torso around, whereas if I let my scapula fall back, I have a lot more space in my neck, feels like a lot more freedom in my arms, and now I really feel this working to pull myself away from my legs. And then you're going to lower yourself down, squeeze your legs together, and slide your feet a little further away from you. If you have a strap, go ahead and put your feet in your strap. Pause for a moment to let your arm bones fall down into the sockets again with that nice flat connection of your upper back to the mat. Then you're going to inhale and lift your upper body as if to go through your arms. Once you can't do that anymore, that's when everything's going to move and your arms are going to go with you to float you up to your first roll up. Pause there for a moment so you feel like you're lifting yourself up over your legs. And although you're really reaching forward, pause for a moment so that you can just drop the scapula back down onto your back. I'm not asking you to pull it down with a lot of strength. Just rather than reaching it forward, you're just going to let it be. Just let it be. And then come right back down. Once again, you're going to end with your arms right over your shoulders. Pause for a moment to drop the scapula. Let's go 4 more like that. Inhale, lift the upper body. Exhale to finish your roll up. Pause for a moment to feel the shoulder girdle drop heavy, and then return yourself back down. If you'd like to raise your arms over your head this time, feel free to do that. All those things in service of feeling that nice flat spine or flat upper back. Let's not call it flat. I don't like that. Let's call it released. Let's call it released and heavy into the mat. Happy. Feel free to extend your legs now if you are feeling like you've got the hang of what's going on in your shoulder girdle. Last time for the roll up. And then for the leg circles, you're just going to take both arms out to the sides. Feel that same flatness across your back that you did before. Pause here for a moment and just take the leg across your body, kind of like we did with 2 legs. So the pelvis is twisting here, the leg is going across, but the opposite side, lung and scapula, are kind of spiraling and pulling this way into your arm. That should feel really nice in your neck and in your jaw. If you need to feel this by bending the knee so that you're not so focused on getting this leg straight and holding it in the air, do that. Come back to center, then let that knee go out to the side without moving your pelvis. So if that leg is straight, it's going to look like that. Then you cross it across again. And let's go into the leg circle. Twist, circle around, up. Twist, circle around, up. Upper back, just reaching up the mat. This T position of your arms being wide and secure. Last time. Then we're going to switch legs so that we can do the same direction. Once you've got the legs switched, feel the wideness of your shoulder girdles, the connection of your wrists, palms, forearms, and upper arm. As the leg goes across, you're squeezing with your inner thigh. The pelvis is going to twist, but the opposite side lung is going to spiral into that arm. And then you come back to center. Use that to do your single leg circle all the way around and up. No need to go very wide. Cross the body is what we're looking for is the most important. I can still feel that right shoulder trying to lift up away from the floor. So I'm going to focus on opening this side of my sternum, reaching my shoulder girdle wide. Let's go 2 more times. Reach, circle, back to center. And 1 more time in this direction. Reach, circle, back to center. Switch legs so we can go the opposite direction. Now the pelvis doesn't move as the leg comes out. And as the leg goes across the body, that's where it pulls. And your torso is going to go purposefully in the opposite direction. Back to center for 4, 3, 2, last one, and we'll switch legs. You could, of course, do this with just a bent knee so that you could focus a little bit more on what we're talking about in the upper body. This really is just an opportunity for you to feel this very specific thing, very specific connection that we're trying to make to the mat, to make all these exercises give you more of what they're supposed to give you. And then you're going to rock yourself right up to rolling like a ball and pause for a moment. Once you've grabbed your ankles, and you've got your arms kind of squeezing around your legs, notice that even though you're making a connection of your knee to your arm, you can still just let the scapula fall back away from your body. I feel like this happens to me if I smile. So if I smile, then like my jaw kind of falls back and my traps kind of soften and my scapula can kind of fall back. So let your scapula smile for a moment. And then keep that feeling of your smiling scapula and roll like a ball. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Have you ever watched in the mirror when you smile, your tips of your ears kind of lift? The tips of your ears lift to help you come up. And one more time. And then we'll do the stomach series with the same idea. Grab onto one leg and let the other leg go to the floor. Keep your scapula smiling and your ear tips pointing up and come all the way down onto your back. Pull that knee in. Now go ahead and lay the leg and your head down for just a moment. And I want you to feel this amazing feeling. Everything that we just did of letting the scapula fall back should be present in your stomach series. So as you're pulling onto this leg, it doesn't become your chest and your biceps holding your leg in, but rather your scapula just coming back and be able to hold onto your leg. So even if you just leave your head down here and you change your legs back and forth so that you can feel what I'm talking about, of pulling that nice wide, almost like a row toward you, this is a great way to practice feeling this. And my stomach has to work here, otherwise my legs would kind of drag me around. So of course, this is still a little bit of core work. I pull my stomach in as my leg goes out, and then I pull that leg in opposition of that long leg. Now, of course, you could lift your upper body here and keep utilizing the floor so that you could utilize this wide, dripping scapula feeling we've been working on. And of course, you can also lift the other leg and go right into your full single leg stretch. Whichever one you're working on, keep working on it. We'll go about 10 more seconds. And I find that this opening of the shoulder girdle helps free up my neck. So yes, there's some muscular work happening, but there's no pain in my spine. And then bring your legs in and bring your head down. For the double leg stretch, let's go both arms and toes up so you can feel that moment of the scapula dropping back. Then simply circle your arms around, keeping it in a relatively moderate range of motion, and then pull your knees in. Inhale to reach, exhale to circle. Once you have the feeling of your arm bones falling heavy and your head just staying right in place, then you can start to increase the difficulty of the exercise by taking your legs lower. Legs are heavy. Inhale to reach, exhale to circle. So just like the 100, the arm bone is long and strong, but the scapula is kind of loose on your back. Inhale to reach. You could bring your head up if you'd like. There's that moment right there. Let the scapula fall back. Keep them back. Exhale. So much more freedom to let the scapula be like your heavy wings laying on your back. Then I feel like I can really do stuff with my arms. And then your head goes down. You're going to grab onto one leg, stretch the other leg long. If you need to grab way down here so that your knee can stay straight, pause there for a moment. So similar to the tree, we would want to walk up our leg and pull, but we're just going to do continue with the stomach series and do the single straight leg stretch here. So holding on to wherever you need to hold on, then widen your shoulder girdle and let your scapula smile as you lift up your head, and that's the moment right there. If you have enough flexibility to walk your hands up your calf, go ahead and do that, and then lift the other leg off the floor. Inhale, switch. Exhale, switch. So I'm not changing my arms at all. In fact, I've got like a hug position here, and I'm just bringing my leg to my arms and then switching. Yeah. And then your knees come in and your head goes down. Place both hands either fingers interlaced or one hand on top of the other, right under the base of your skull, and extend your legs up. Lift your elbows just a little bit so you can feel the scapula feet standing on the mat, and then inhale and lower your legs a little bit, and exhale and come back up. And what I want you to feel is as the legs go down, if it causes you to do something odd with the gripping of your scapula. So spread it out on the floor, let your scapula fall heavy, use your center to two-way stretch your upper body away from your legs as they come back up. That feels pretty good. You can lift your head up off the mat, but still keep the feeling of the scapula falling away from your back. And then bend your knees, keep your head in the air, but put your feet on the floor. And without changing this beautiful frame that you've created with your arms and your head, twist your trunk to one side. And don't worry about pulling this side back yet. Just keep the frame of your upper half. Exhale, twist. Exhale, twist. So similar to what we were doing here, where your head was just following your hands, and the shape stayed the same. Then if you'd like to bring the knees up and go Or maybe one foot stays on the floor. And you may not get as much range of motion twisting as if you were doing the whole lengthening this side of your body like we do in Pilates mat. So you're just trying to feel yourself rolling on your rib cage the way we felt here. Such a valuable exercise for feeling contact with the mat in all the places that we need contact. One more to the left, and one more to the right. And then our last exercise, you'll rock yourself up to seated, finishing the basic mat. Sit tall with your feet about the width of the mat for the spine stretch, and then start with your arms crossed right here. The same feeling, not of squeezing the shoulder blades back together again, but letting them fall down onto the rib cage like they're just two heavy velvet curtains coming down your back. So let your velvet curtains stay dropped. You're not going to open the stage curtains just yet, and then reach your arms forward until they're resting on this little shelf right here. Keep your curtains draping down your back. Take a deep breath in, and on your exhale, round from the spine forward with your arms just the passengers on their little shoulder girdle buses. And then come back up. That's your inhale. And exhale. For those of you performers or athletes in the room, you might recall the feeling of trying too hard sometimes actually disrupts your ability to find detail and consistency. Whereas taking a little bit of mental effort out of the game helps you soften your physical body and be more specific about what you're trying to accomplish. So take-home message there is work less. And we'll go one more time. The trunk is lifting up off the pelvis. And maybe you've got two hands on the floor to try this out. Since I just gave you that option, let's do two more. So you can either stay on the shelf or put two hands on the floor. If you've got two hands on the floor, let the fact that your arms are resting on the ground be the thing that allows your arm bones to relax. It's some work in the shoulders to hold your arms up. Last time for the spine stretch. Let your scapula smile. And then come back up. And to finish, we'll end one more time with that same little test of the arms out to the sides. So in a T position with your feet on the floor, just sit there and feel for a moment how much connection of your arms you have to the floor. And as an assessment, we'll just revisit the shave. So both fingers come together, salute at your forehead. Widening of the shoulder girdle, but not so wide it pushes the front of the shoulder forward. And then reach your arms or your pitchforks up overhead. That's your inhale. And exhale and come back. And inhale and reach. Jaw still open, heavy. Exhale, come back. One more time. Inhale and reach. And exhale and come back. And thanks for joining me today. I hope you can go back and use this video at any time if you feel like your shoulder mobility has decreased or you're having trouble with an exercise for any reason. Please leave me a message in the comments below. I'd love to talk about specific exercises, and remember to subscribe to Body Geek Movement. I'll see you next time. Thank you.